We are going over the Connecticut DOT ADA Transition Plan 2024 Update Overview and Public Feedback Plan. Our mission is improving lives through transportation. My name is Katie Hedberg. I'm the ADA Coordinating Engineer with the department. For today's presentation, we are going to go over some background information for what is required with ADA Title II, as well as what our transition plan is looking at for what we evaluate, how we address compliance issues found, methods to address non-compliance. And finally, our goal is to receive your feedback for areas of highest priority and comments on the ADA transition plan. To start, we have some background to the ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act. To start, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is a federal law that prohibits individuals with disabilities from discrimination in programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance or conducted by federal agencies. With the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, this was signed in 1990 and is a federal civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities. With ADA, there are 5 different titles. Title I covers employment. Title II covers state, local government services. Title III covers businesses open to the public. Title IV covers telecommunications, and Title V covers other important requirements. For today, we're going to be reviewing the Title II, state and local government services. For the purpose of a transition plan, the plan outlines a list of physical barriers that limit accessibility, methods to remove these barriers and achieve accessibility, a schedule to complete the work, and the names of officials responsible for the plan's implementation. For our ADA transition plan overview, 2024 includes 8 sections. The first is the introduction. The second is background. The third is Connecticut DOT's ADA policies and programs. Section 4 is facilities. 5 is public right-of-way. 6 is accessibility barrier removal programs. 7 is plan implementation and training. And 8 is public outreach. For what's new in 2024, the plan has a summary that includes different sections. We've updated our policies and programs. We've enhanced and reorganized different sections from the previous 2019 version. We've also added new assets and updated our inventories, along with utilizing appendices to streamline future updates. Throughout this presentation, we'll have a circle that says updated or a star that says new for what has been either changed or added. To begin, we have our introduction, background, and ADA policies and programs. For our introduction and background, Connecticut DOT has a long history of commitment to safety, reliability, and accessibility. We've included our update, mission, and vision, along with other details from the department. We also are improving the state infrastructure on an ongoing basis, and this is a quick snapshot of what responsibilities DOT has for operation and management. We have over 10,000 miles of roads on the state highway system, over 4,000 bridges, 1,400 centerline miles of pavement, 2,700 centerline miles of non-NHS pavement, over 2,500 traffic signals, approximately 11,000 curb ramps, 30 DOT-owned rest areas, service plazas, and 1 seasonal welcome center. And we also have 5 administrative buildings and have included our district map in our first appendix. For sections 3.1 and 3.2, this is Connecticut DOT's ADA policy and public notice section. We've updated our policies and have provided them in Appendix B, C, D, and E. For these policies, they include the Title II ADA Section 504 Policy Notice, the Public Transportation Reasonable Modification Policy, the Public Transportation ADA Accessibility Feature Policy, the ADA Rail Station Elevator Outage Procedure, a Public Meeting Accommodation Request, a non-discrimination policy notice to public transportation service providers. In this section, we also have the applicable engineering directives that include the engineering directive for the public rights-of-way accessibility guidelines included in Appendix F, along with the technical and feasibility form in Appendix G, and the engineering and construction directive, complete streets controlling design criteria and justification process included in Appendix H. For the public notice, we have the reasonable modification contacts by company or district in Appendix I. For Section 3.3, this outlines Connecticut DOT's different ADA coordinators. We have 6 recognized individuals that have a focus of ADA. Myself, Katie Hedberg, Kamato Simpson, and Julio Serna are the ADA coordinating engineers. Eric Smith is the Equal Employment Director. Marlene Cordeau is the ADA coordinator for rail services. And Ernest Wright is the ADA coordinator for transit services. These individuals are all listed in Appendix J. For DOT's ADA grievance procedure, our procedures pertaining to the ADA or Section 504 are processed through a formal procedure established by DOT in compliance with 28 CFR 35107B and 49 CFR 2713B, noted in Appendix K. The procedure requires the department to ensure response is given with findings of investigation evaluation process will begin within 15 days of receipt, conduct to affirmative attempts for substantive resolution, and continuing actions where conciliation is not possible. Complaints are maintained in accordance with DOT's record retention policy. Complaints not within the department's jurisdiction are referred to the appropriate parties with original complaint maintained and referral action. Our grievance procedure also includes a new feature that is the Customer Care Center. Customer Care is a group within DOT that has a phone, email, and a virtual form that individuals can use. We have included ADA issues to this form, as last year we had a number of different complaints come in prior to this being official. So this year we have made it an official part of the procedure. For Section 3.5, DOT self-evaluation and ADA transition plan monitoring, the plan is considered a living document that will continue to be updated as conditions change within the state and DOT's jurisdictions evolve. Formally, once every 4 years, this plan will be updated, and reporting and/or attachments may be updated more frequently as needed. The progress is monitored through various meetings with the quarterly Federal Highway HWA Connecticut Division Office, our monthly chief engineer meetings, and a semi-annual commissioner report. 3.5.1 outlines our timeline of Connecticut DOT's commitment to this ADA transition plan. We've had a number of different reports throughout the years, including back when the ADA was first signed and this requirement was enacted. As our procedures evolve and standards change, the plan has also changed and has included different features throughout the years. A new section added this year has been a recap of the performance measure. Our group within engineering tracks the bicycle pedestrian access investment target. This is a 1% target established by Public Act number 9-154 in 2009. This tracks the percent and total amount of dollars spent and/or programmed to be spent on projects containing items that improve pedestrian and bicyclist accessibility and safety. In 2023, we had a 4.16% performance measure. Our next section of the transition plan is section 4 for facilities. A list of the department's publicly accessible facilities is included in Appendix L. For 4.1, this is focused on the rail passenger service. Connecticut DOT has 3 different lines. Our New Haven line is operated through the Metropolitan Transit Authority, MTA, since 1983. The Connecticut portion of the rail corridor includes 38 rail stations. From investigation, 25 stations are not compliant based on the MTA and listed in Appendix M. There are 5 not compliant stations, 10 missing tactile warning strips or audiovisual, and 10 with no accessible path between platforms. For Shoreline East, this was opened in 1990 and provides service along a portion of the Northeast Corridor from New Haven to New London with 8 total stations. New London Station is currently in the design phase for ADA improvements to meet items outlined in the 2020 DOJ settlement with the Connecticut DOT as noted in Appendix N. And our final service is the Hartford line, which was opened in 2018. It's the high-speed intercity passenger rail system between the cities of New Haven, Hartford, and Springfield, Massachusetts. Future stations include replacing Windsor Locks and Windsor Station, a new station in Enfield, and potential new stations in West Hartford, Newington, and North Haven. All stations are anticipated to be constructed fully ADA compliant. For our transit passenger service, this is CT Fast Track, which is a rapid bus transit. It runs between New Britain and Hartford, and there are 10 stations along a 9.4-mile corridor. All stations are fully ADA compliant and operate 7 days a week in the state right-of-way. There are regional transit districts that are run and maintained on their own facilities and track ADA compliance separate. For our ferries, we have 2 historic ferries through the Connecticut River, and this includes Rocky Hill to Glastonbury and Chester to Hadlime, which operate 7 days a week on a seasonal basis. There are no known ADA issues. For section 4.4, this is our highway service plazas. There are 23 identified in Appendix L. All plazas are fully renovated or replaced in the last decade. The services include restaurants, fueling, restrooms, EV charging at select plazas. There are no known ADA issues at these locations. For highway rest areas, we updated our section. There are 7 highway rest areas and 1 seasonal welcome center. There are no known ADA issues with buildings. For exterior, there are ADA picnic tables and concrete walkways to be installed and upgraded in 2025 at several locations. 4.6 is our highway administrative facilities. We have 5 that are publicly open on occasion for administrative buildings. We have our Newington headquarters location, which has minor building ADA issues and several ADA improvements that are scheduled, whether it's signage, restrooms, or sidewalks and curb ramps. We also have a district office in Rocky Hill that has minor building issues, and ADA improvements include a potential new building in 2028. 4.7 includes the electric vehicle chargers. We have 27 EV chargers at DOT. We designed following the U.S. Access Board's design recommendation for accessible electric vehicle charging stations when applicable. And chargers are located within the visitor staff parking along the Berlin Turnpike and in the motor pool. For section 4.8, parking and park and ride lots. We have over 170 that service to commuters, accessible parking spaces, and available for public transport. There is a current inventory ongoing to assess number of spaces, shelters provided, trash cans, lighting, and ADA compliance. Concurrent with this inventory, through various capital upgrades, there are restriping or expanding parking capacity also ongoing. Our next section is 5.0, which is the public right-of-way. For 5.1, this features sidewalks. The ADA does not require installation of sidewalks and curb ramps where no pedestrian facilities currently exist. However, when there are, they need to be ADA compliant. Sidewalk and curb ramps along state-owned highways are municipality responsibility, and sidewalk on state-maintained bridges or property for highway purposes are state responsibility. See Appendix R for an updated sidewalk policy. We also have a digitalization of a sidewalk inventory along state right-of-way and have approximately 52 miles already identified to program where there might exist gaps. Section 5.2 includes curb ramps provided for pedestrian use to transition from sidewalk to roadway. There is an ongoing inventory inspecting curb ramps at various state crossings utilizing Esri tools that are field maps and Survey 123. Appendix S includes additional information on these tools and the inspection process. When Connecticut DOT resurfaces, our responsibility at curb ramps vary for if they are within state crossing or local roads. For the state crossing, as of May of 2024, there were just about 11,000 total curb ramps, and we have 5,000 remaining for inspection. For 5.3, multi-use trails, these are built to ADA requirements at the construction date. DOT provides oversight, technical, and financial assistance for these projects. There is ongoing oversight with new projects. Appendix T includes a list of the multi-use trails in Connecticut. For section 5.4, crosswalks and median crossings, DOT is responsible for maintaining accessibility to crosswalks and median crossings on state highways. Resurfacing programs review existing crosswalks and medians for accessibility. Traffic safety engineering has also initiated a study project to determine feasibility of raised intersections and crosswalks at multiple locations. For section 5.5, traffic signals, there are over 2,570 traditional traffic signals and 224 flashing beacons. For accessible pedestrian signal, APS, our current database shows approximately 265 signals with APS. Connecticut DOT has updated a signal design practice to no longer provide side street green phasing for future designs, since there is not a way to provide accessible pedestrian signal equipment. For future designs, including pedestrian phasing, will be provided with APS equipment. Appendix U has an outline for more information on traffic signal pedestrian phasing information. 5.6 includes on-street parking. DOT only installs on-street parking spaces along state highways within the project when the project's warranted. Connecticut DOT does not maintain on-street parking spaces, as such maintenance responsibility is transferred to the municipalities under agreements. During resurfacing projects, state roads are paved, but parking spaces are not striped. Municipalities may apply for an encroachment permit to install and maintain these parking spaces. The Division of Traffic Engineering is responsible for the establishment of parking restrictions along state roads. For section 5.7, bus stops and shelters, DOT has an inventory of bus stops that account for over 14,000 along CT Transit branded divisions and transit districts. In a 2019 assessment, only 5% of bus stops statewide are sheltered. A new statewide bus stop and shelter inventory will take place through an upcoming program that assesses ADA compliance of existing stops. DOT plans to identify and attribute a proximity to sidewalk and right-of-way, ownership to GIS bus stop layer, and begin creating the framework for transitioning bus stops to ADA compliance that need it. Our next section is Accessibility Barrier Removal Program, Section 6. The capital plan is an annual report prepared by DOT to inform stakeholders about the department's planned capital investments over the upcoming 5 years. These include a proposed program of roadway and bridge, public transportation, and facility capital projects. The capital plan is a product of collaborative efforts, including feedback from stakeholders, Connecticut's Metropolitan Planning Organizations, MPOs, and Council of Governments, COGS, reflecting regional interests and priorities. For Section 6.2 facilities, for the rail station improvements in progress or scheduled, these are all listed in Appendix V. For New Haven line, there are 7 scheduled. For Waterbury line, there are 6 scheduled. For Shoreline East, there is 1. And for Hartford line, there is 1. For highway administrative buildings, ADA improvements, Newington headquarters and Rocky Hill both have planned upgrades and are listed in Appendix O. For Section 6.3 annual pavement programs, this is looking at curb ramp upgrades, ADA requirements to provide curb ramps when streets, roads, or highways are altered through road resurfacing under the following programs: Maintenance Resurfacing Program, MRP, Pavement Preservation Program, PPP, and then Pavement Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Program, PRRP. For non-compliant curb ramps to be maintained under Maintenance Resurfacing Program, we have a map shown that highlights our inventory and which curb ramps would be upgraded based on their compliance status. For Section 6.4 traffic signals, since there are funding, manpower, and time constraints to improve accessibility at traffic signals, priority is given to those known locations where there are existing audible buzzers that need to be upgraded to conform to the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, and to those known locations where visually impaired pedestrians travel. Connecticut DOT is designing and construction APS upgrades at signalized locations statewide. Typically, new accessible curb ramps are required to accommodate the APS features. Many of these locations also require the acquisition of right-of-way to install sidewalk ramps and APS equipment. See Appendix W for a schedule of the upcoming APS projects. For 6.5 bus stops and shelters, any new stop installed by the department or transit district will fall under the purview of our Bus Stop Enhancement Program, BSEP. The BESP is planned to pilot 40 to 60 shelter installs before the end of 2024 and has earmarked Section 5307 FTA funding for the procurement and installment of approximately 700 new shelters over the next 4 years. The program will require that we develop a system for inventorying all FTA-funded assets, ensuring ADA compliance, monitoring maintenance, and for mapping their locations to meet the triennial Title VI mapping requirements. For Section 6.6 transit barrier removal programs, we have outlined paratransit in 6.6.1 and the ARIA pilot program in 6.6.2. For paratransit, it's a shared ride advanced reservation origin to destination service for persons with disabilities who are unable to use public bus service because of their disability, provided in all areas where local fixed route bus service is provided. There is included ADA accessible stops. See section Appendix I for the transit district information for reasonable accommodation. For the ARIA pilot program, this was an 18-month pilot from October 2021 to April 2023 that included 63 participants. There was smartphone technology to enhance the mobility opportunities for people who are blind or have low vision. It streamed live video to an agent who provided the subscriber with an instant access to visual information about their surroundings. The ARIA agents used the live video to narrate and interpret what they see for the user. 6.7 is the Community Connectivity Grant Program. The goal to make conditions safer and more accommodating for pedestrians and cyclists, the CCP is funded through the department's extended capital plan. DOT solicits applications for grants directly from municipalities for costs ranging $100,000 to $800,000. Now, with its sixth year of funding, there have been 138 awarded, totaling more than $62 million for investments in Connecticut's towns and cities. For 6.8 road safety audit, this is a safety assessment of an existing roadway segment for use by all modes of transportation, including motor vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians. DOT has completed 8 RSAs with another 9 pending since the last publication of this ADA transition plan and over 104 RSAs since the program began in 2016. All RSAs result in a final report that can serve as a planning tool for municipalities and their respective regional council of governments. Section 6.9 included the municipality ADA compliance coordination. This was a statewide compliance assessment conducted of all 169 municipalities to gauge what efforts are being made at the local level and to identify what support and training might be needed. There's a summary provided in Appendix X and Y for what questions were answered. We received 100% participation from all municipalities and created a new program developed to offer support with the self-evaluation and transition plan Title II requirements. Our group continues communication and cooperation between the department, municipalities, council governments, and metropolitan planning organizations to create and maintain a pedestrian-free network for accessibility barriers. Any entity which undertakes a project in the state right-of-way must address any permanent and temporary accessibility barriers impacted by the improvement. For the active transportation plan and Safe Routes to School, this plan was initiated in 2024, an update for the active transportation plan. It is a multi-pronged approach to meet the needs of non-motorized bicycle and pedestrian population and present projects and policies that will immediately improve the safety, connections, and accessibility for the residents and visitors of Connecticut. For Safe Routes to School, this program has been expanded to the framework to include equity as one of the 6 E's that are continued with students in schools grades K through 12 with and without disabilities for traveling to school safely. For Section 7 of the report, this is the plan implementations and trainings. For Connecticut DOT's implementation, there are significant non-compliant issues and prioritizing inventory is essential. We anticipate ADA improvements will be ongoing for decades and priorities may change. Public comment and feedback on priorities are considered in prioritizing remediation. To allow flexibility and accommodating community requests, we have the following: petitions for reasonable modifications from persons with disabilities, changes in Connecticut DOT programs, ongoing evaluation and changes in environment, funding constraints, and funding opportunities. Connecticut DOT will continue to utilize its TED GIS web map to plan, execute, and track projects as a living ADA transition plan. For section 7.1 ADA training, we have annual trainings on ADA entitled to for both design and policy construction. Connecticut DOT staff, municipalities, and external partners are included in these trainings and offerings. We have a full list of our trainings that were conducted in Appendix Z, along with our records from the past few years of what presentations were provided. For our last section, Section 8, this is our public outreach. For 8.1 customer experience, the CX action plan goals included 4, connect with customers using public transportation to listen, learn about their transit experience, to better understand changing customer needs, expectations, desires for state transit system. Vision, to define a vision for future of all public transportation in Connecticut, which is based on customer priorities. And action, create a clear action plan that includes what can be taken to achieve the vision and make transit more comfortable, reliable, and efficient experience for all. Over 4,000 surveys were received from transit customers throughout the state. The overall transit experience satisfaction rating of survey respondents of all modes was 7.5 out of 10. The 2 areas under 75% satisfaction rating in the survey for all modes included stations and stops and schedule and frequency modules. In section 8.2, local communities and organizations, DOT has a new position for the head of strategy of culture engagement and inclusive communications. We also partner within the community organizations with updates, trainings, etc. And for this transition plan public outreach update included a list of disability organizations contacted for the outreach in Appendix AA. We also have a signature ADA anniversary and outdoor classroom event that was held for the second time on Wednesday, October 2nd. And our final piece is the 2024 Public Feedback Plan, Section 8.3. The survey results and summary are going to be included in Appendix AB when the comment period closes and reviews take place. For our public feedback plan, this is our first year conducting public outreach pop-up events for the ADA transition plan. We have 6 planned in-person public outreach events ranging from Waterbury, New Haven at the Wilson Branch Library, Norwich at the Otis Library, Unionville at New Horizons Village, and the Capital Region Council of Governments in Hartford. We also are conducting 2 virtual public outreach events today on Zoom and on the 23rd via Zoom. For additional assistance, we have a contact with an email that is dot.ada transition plan at ct.gov or by calling phone number 860-594-2775. We have our public comment ending on Friday, November 8th. We also have a public outreach survey that is provided in PDF or digital form on our website. This form is provided in English and Spanish and includes what town, city do you reside in, what issues do you face regularly or most often, select all that apply, which should be the highest priority for DOT to improve accessibility. And did you know that Connecticut DOT's website lists options for requesting an accommodation for any program or to register a complaint? We also have a 5th question that is any additional feedback on the transition plan. We are now going to turn over the presentation to a question and answers. For our question and answer section, We have the ability to take Q&A today via Zoom, where the moderator will answer questions either in the chat or if you are joined by phone by dialing 9 to raise your hand. We also have additional ways you can reach out to our group by email or phone number. And that email again is dot.ada transitionplan@ct.gov or by phone 860-594-2775. We also have additional information on our project webpage that also include or will include the presentation given today. Please note that the comment period is open through November 8th. And for Zoom Q&A, this is only available during the live Q&A session.